Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jump Up Supercast, the only podcast on the internet that knows the official pronunciations are NES, SNES, and the Nintendo Wii. Joining me today, Brandon.
I just want to say that the things that have said on this podcast in the beginning do not reflect my own opinions, and they also disgust me, and I want to puke.
Noah.
I'm conflicted. I don't know if it's a SNES or SNES, or I don't know anymore.
And Seth.
I stand by Will's decision and declaration to make sure that the SNES and NES are correctly pronounced. This is why he is the leader.
Wii.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo Wii's fine. Those other two, go away.
So we can always agree, and everyone that's on this podcast can agree, Nintendo Wii at least.
I don't care. That's whatever.
See, you might wonder, why are we making a point about this? Well, you may have noticed, I did not say the fourth name. Moozamil instead opted to just go for a walk instead of record this podcast. So, send all your hate tweets to @moozy@gmail.com.
Yes. He's going to be on a new podcast. It's called
The Walking Podcast.
Muzzy Walks.
Muzzy Walks, where you just get live audio of him walking the streets of his town.
Yes.
But we're still here. We still have video games to talk about. How's everyone doing this week?
We're doing fine.
Great. I love video games. Have I told you that I love video games ever?
I love video games more than I love walking.
Wow, what a true gamer.
Same.
Now, last week when we talked on this podcast, we said, let's use this time to reflect before the storm comes, before the E3 hits. We're lucky we did it last week because guess what? E3 has hit, my dudes. We're in it. We're getting companies are getting ahead of E3. They're making announcements right now. Leaks are happening. All kinds of stuff. But I want to lead off with what is probably, I don't know. You don't want to lead off with the vegetables, but we're gonna lead off with the vegetables. We're not gonna lead off with the dessert. You eat the dessert last, right?
Right.
Nintendo,
speak for yourself.
True.
Whoa.
Noah lives a dangerous lifestyle. But this week, we got a follow-up to a thing we mentioned on the podcast before a couple weeks ago. Nintendo said we'll talk about our online in early May. And they did not lie. They updated their website in early May, like they said they would. And it was interesting because, to give a little bit of perspective, the paid online was planned in last September. It's going to launch this September, so there was a full year delay. So I think because of that pause, because of that delay, people thought, well, maybe they're revamping it. Maybe they're going to do something big and crazy and different than what they had announced. And the answer is no, it's basically what they had announced prior in with slightly different forms. So to go down the list, $20 a year for a single account, $35 a year for a family plan of up to 8 accounts on different systems. With it, you get 3 big things. 1, you can play online, which obviously you can do now for free, but after September, you will have to pay. You get cloud saves, which is nice because that was a big complaint, was that if your Switch died, there was no way to sort of maintain the saves. And third, I guess we'll just call it Netflix. It's a name that fits.
I hate it. I hate it so fucking much.
Well, it works is the problem. They are launching a service that comes with a paid online where you get at launch 20 NES games that you can download. Some of them are not exactly the big hitters, it's the hockeys and the tennises of the world.
Speak for yourself, man. Have you played hockey? Because that game is a blast.
I'll take your word
to be
for
fair,
it.
you're right, but like, there's also some ones where you're like, this is
soccer.
Pretty basic.
That's
Ice Climber. You're like, Going back and playing Ice Climber, you're like, that's not fun.
It's not
but there's
really
also
that good.
There's also the big ones. There's Legend of Zelda. There's Mario 3. But also with it is a new feature. Online multiplayer is being added officially to NES games through this service.
Online multiplayer. Whoa.
Yeah. And you're like, how does that work for like Zelda? And it's like, well, you can screen share with someone and at any time just press a button and swap control. So I guess if you and someone else, your beloved or whoever, wants to go and play Zelda 1 together remotely over the internet, that's a thing. You can play Mario 3.
That's weird. Mario 3 though, that's cool.
Mario 3 though, I mean, like, I'm super hyped on that one.
Yeah.
Hang on. Who presses the button? Would it be the player controlling that?
I think it's the person in control is the person that decides to swap to the other person.
Okay, because if it's the other
but
way
we don't
around,
know the specifics. That's just an assumption on my part. So I should clarify.
I was gonna say that's just very weird. I don't know what the point of that is.
Yeah. So the internet has had a visceral reaction to it. I would say.
People are dumb. That's all I'm gonna say. That's the nicest way I can put it.
This could create some interesting multiplayer sessions. Like, even if the game is like single player, they can come up with some cool rules and have like a cool party game, multiplayer online kind of thing going.
Yeah, and I think just a few things worth mentioning here. Like I said, it is, people are comparing it to Xbox Live and PS Plus and the type of games that come out on there, and that is, I think, it is the final console manufacturer going into paid online, so those comparisons are inevitable. But I do think that, people will get annoyed at this, but like, if you go to the store and you buy something that is a third the cost of something else, you're expecting different things, like that's just the nature of the beast. And so, I mean, at least for me, I was expecting like paid online since Wii U, right? Like I was shocked when Wii U didn't announce paid online. And so this always felt like an inevitability, and I think that there could be much worse ways to go about it, in my mind.
Yeah, it was even a surprise when the Switch didn't start off with it. Well.
I guess my it's interesting because like the original prospect was much worse, which was that it was going to be one NES game a month, and as soon as that month passed, you could not have access to it.
Yeah, that seemed dumb, and I didn't like that idea. But now that it's like, you get these games, and we're going to add more games in the future.
Launches with 20. They've announced 10 so far.
Yes. So that's super exciting.
I was just going to say, I think my biggest thing that I understand when people have complaints about, but like it wasn't a shocker to me, is that they're still using the phone app as the primary way to communicate online, the primary way to do voice chat. Which means that people probably just won't do it, right? I feel like at that point, Discord will just be the thing that people will use instead.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have to pay to use the app now is like kind of insane.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get that. I mean, like obviously not having voice chat in your system is a bad thing in 2018, but it's also a thing that we've dealt with the last year. So it's interesting. I think that maybe some people were pining their hopes that like, when they announce this, they'll change it up, right? They'll get rid of the voice app, but like they were never planning on that. This was always sort of what they were doing.
Bring back Miiverse. Bring back Miiverse.
The thing with voice app that I think I'm happy with, like the good thing about it is that the online service that they've used to tie in with Splatoon, with the browser, and you getting to see your stats and the matches you played, as well as like getting to pick potential costumes that are on sale and then buying them on the app itself. That sort of stuff is actually enjoyable. Like I like that as part of the online app. Like, and I want other games to follow as well in regards to like putting some features that aren't really useful to the game itself, but they're neat little extras on that online app. I feel so that would make that worthwhile.
Yeah, I think that those are nice. It's just like the sort of the missing basic functionalities on the system itself that people have issue with. But I like to me, this is a thing where I'm not like, oh boy, what a joy, like I'm so excited, but also I'm not like upset, this is a pretty inoffensive implementation in my mind. Weird thing though, also the family plan seems crazy because you can do multiple systems and they haven't said otherwise yet. So it seems like if we wanted to, there's 5 of us, we could just say, hey, whoever, me, just get like $35 a year. All of you give me like, take that 35, divide it by 5. Suddenly that's $7 a year. That's half of what you would pay, And so I don't know if they're going to be a way they're going to try to stop that. Maybe they will. But as of right now, that appears to be a weird, just like, okay, well, I have a friend who has a family, is getting the family plan. And like, for example, they have 3 PS4s in their household, right? Like one of the kids bought a PS4 on his own money. And then they have 2 themselves. They pay $180 a year for online. And and because it doesn't work on multiple systems. So for them, he's like, 35 is a steal. Like, this is a crazy thing. And so he's getting the family plan. He's like, I have 4 extra slots. Do you just want to be in on my family plan? And I'm like, sure, I guess. So maybe I won't be paying for this online at all. Who knows? But it seems weird and interesting. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, September is when it's launching. But that is the sort of, the stuff that you have to talk about but isn't necessarily super exciting. But baby, guess what happened this week? Walmart ruined everything.
Oh, shit.
Probably not for the first time. Probably not for the last.
Correct. They're continuing their long-held tradition. Walmart has this week uploaded to their website. It was 15 unannounced games got listed on their website. There's a bunch of them. Some of them are things you can assume that make sense. Things like The Last of Us, Last of Us 2, or like the Destiny expansion, a new Lego game. But there's also some weird ones. There's weird ones like Rage 2, which is weird. I don't know if anyone remembers the 2011 id Software game Rage, but
Yeah, I love that
getting
game.
a sequel. Well, okay,
always
that's
wanted
actually
to
very
play it.
exciting. Because I feel like a lot of people were like, Rage, really? But that was an interesting one.
Yeah. Rage had a shitty ending, so a lot of people were soured on that. But otherwise, it was a pretty fun game overall. So Rage 2 should be interesting.
And they'll get a chance to rectify that dumb ending. So that'll be
Yeah.
good. You also, things of note, Borderlands 3 is listed.
Yeah.
Which is now maybe the worst kept secret in video games after the Spyro thing was announced, but whatever. And also Final Fantasy VII Remake was listed for the Xbox One, so that'll be a thing that I didn't think about, but will almost inevitably cause meltdowns if it does happen.
The biggest betrayal since Final Fantasy 13 announced for Xbox 360.
Yeah. that was man. We won't ever get a meltdown like that again. Like, what a boy.
That was exciting.
That legendary post about, like, I know a lot about Japanese culture and Square Enix just messed up big. It's still funny 10 years later. It's a treat.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is that, like, also a weird one, Dragon Quest 2 is listed on here.
Yeah, I thought that was super weird.
I don't know if they mean Dragon Quest Builders 2 or not. I don't know. But these
Isn't that coming out on the Switch?
Yeah, it is, and it's not listed here, so maybe it's not Dragon Quest Builders 2. There's no. Normally with these type of listings, they have a history of coming true. They don't just come out of nowhere. But it was very funny that Walmart came out today. It was today on Friday, and said, "Oh, we don't know. It was just some guy. We promise. It was just some guy. Maybe he didn't know anything." Only problem with that is that the official Rage account went on Twitter and mentioned this leak and went, "Uh-oh, can't believe it got spoiled." And then Pete Hines goes like, "This is why we can't have nice things." And I imagine every person who is on this list is furious at Pete Hines right now, right? Because basically, by confirming that Rage 2 is a thing, which is the most outlandish thing on this list, everything else is sort of confirmed, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. But the thing that got me convinced for this, personally, was the fact that Square Enix had announced a conference for E3. And it's
Yes, this will lead right into that next story, which you're right, Sam.
Oh,
which is
sorry.
that.
No,
No, go ahead. Finish your point, because you made the right call.
Because it was straight up, like, there's no other reason for Square to actually announce their fucking conference unless they're going to be talking about Final Fantasy VII, and unless they're going to make some big fucking things about Final Fantasy VII. Like, it would be impossible for them to do so other than for that reason. So, that's what made that believable.
Yeah, I mean, like, and we'll talk about that because originally we had this plan walking into the month before E3 where every week we would talk about one thing that we're sort of expecting or predicting from each of the companies, and we were going to do third parties this week, but also all these leaks are about third parties, so it sort of like took the wind out of our sails. But like you said, Saf, Square Enix is announcing that they are doing a conference this year. They have not the last 2 years. You might remember the last time they did was for Final Fantasy 15, was they also announced Nier Automata. It wasn't a great conference, but I think they said that this year will be not like a on stage behind a podium thing. It will be a pre-produced video, which I think is the smart call on their parts. But that'll be interesting. Some other things we might see there, like you said, might see Final Fantasy VII Remake, potentially. Gonna see Kingdom Hearts. Finally. Might see Kingdom Hearts. We're definitely gonna see Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
Yes, they're gonna announce that it got delayed.
Don't do this. Don't do this, Brandon. I believe in this year for Kingdom Hearts. I have to, or else I will be too sad to continue. But also a thing that like got announced. I don't know if you guys remember this, but like I have to imagine must be showing up sometime soon. Is Square makes Crystal Dynamics specifically, who are owned by Square, people who made the Tomb Raider reboot, are making an Avengers game.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I mean, you know, maybe it's just because Thanos is in Fortnite and Infinity War just came out, but like it feels like if there's any time to get peak interest in an Avengers game, it is this E3 at this time, you know?
I still don't see the
that.
connection between Fortnite and Thanos and Infinity War. Like, what?
Do you want to know what it was?
What was it?
It's the directors of Infinity War just play a lot of Fortnite and called Epic and was like, "Do you want we want Thanos in here. Can you do that?" And they're like, "Yes, of course, obviously." Like it's the biggest movie franchise in the world.
That's kind of cool. Like what the fuck, but it's cool. That's really cool.
It's cool. I love that it wasn't like the two big corporations. It was like a guy calling another guy.
Yeah.
Just being like, this would be cool. And they've done it. By the way, that's a crazy thing. We'll talk about it if we had less news, but just the fact that it's a free mode and that like no one's making any money off this. There's no Thanos skin. Like no one's like popping loot crates to become Thanos. You just get a free mode that they've hinted at it for the last 3 months, and that they announced it and it was up 10 hours later. You're like, man, just what a perfect rollout for that kind of game mode, you know?
Yeah.
Because like Call of Duty's done that in the past. They've done like, here you can play as Predator, but you have to pay like $15 to get the DLC pack to play as Predator. And it's like, that sounds cool, but I don't want to drop $15 on that. And so for this, just be like, yo, free mode, free update, limited time thing, check it out. Like, I turned on Fortnite for the first time in months to try Thanos, and it's fun. It's fun to play as. It's just fun to get killed by him in a video game. But yeah, but I mean, maybe we'll get to be killed by Thanos in the Square Enix Avengers game whenever that happens.
Hey, I died in real life.
You died in real life?
Did Thanos kill .me? And I am dead.
Well, you had a good run. Oh, is this a website?
Yeah. Did Thanos kill .me? It's a real website.
You get to roll the die and see if you were one of. Oh, that's pretty good.
I
even
survived.
made a picture of myself dying.
Wow. That's a shame, but you know, you made it.
Well, yeah, you know, I can do it. Hit me up. I'll make a picture of you too.
Oh, that's cool. Wow.
I survived. I was alive. Can you make a picture of me living, Brandon?
Well, go to the website and it'll tell you if you live or die.
No, I lived. I already did it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Saf, good job living, Saf. What a champion.
I'll share a picture of you.
Just a picture of a smiling Saf surrounded by a bunch of people that are
The happy family. Surrounded by dust.
Which is fine. Also, a thing of news this week to sort of flip back and forth between official announcements and unofficial announcements. This one is a little bit more tenuous. This doesn't have direct names on it. But GameStop, of course, gets SKUs. They get unannounced titles that they put in their database that then when the game is announced, they will update to have the game's name and box art. But they put the placeholder in there beforehand.
A placeholder? What's that?
I don't know.
No, you know, sidetrack for 1 second. It's very humorous to me how many times I've seen on the internet in just the past like 2 weeks of people being like, "Oh, hey guys, like I went to GameStop in like all these Facebook groups that I'm in. People will be like, I went to GameStop and I saw they gave me a list of games. Smash Brothers is coming out on December 31st."
That is the best.
These poor people, they don't understand what a placeholder is.
Just to say, they don't know the date, so they just put the default date, but no.
Yes.
But 15 SKUs for 15 Switch games showed up at the on the GameStop database recently. Obviously feels like it might be related to E3, so that's nice because, you know, looking at the Walmart leak, there's the Switch games we know about, but basically besides that, there's none.
Yeah.
And so it's, you know, there will be video games announced at E3 is sort of what all of this news means.
Yeah.
Mother 3 when?
Mother 3.
Oh no, this is this year. This is definitely this year. I don't even know why that's a question.
Mother collection.
Ooh.
This might, you know what, dude? It might happen. Believe. I mean,
Oh, no,
maybe
it's going to happen.
don't believe
It's
too
definitely
much, but like maybe.
Maybe.
It is
Mother 4
definitely.
when?
Mother 4. Every day of your life is Mother 4. Shigesato Itoi said that. That's my favorite answer in the world. It's like, when are you playing? When are you making Mother 4? Every day you live your life. If you played Mother 1 through 3, you're living Mother 4. And you're like, what does that even mean, dude? It sounds deep, but it also means nonsense. But one final little piece of E3 news to get to, and after we get through with this, I want to ask all of you, what is, because we have a lot of games in front of us now, right? We have Just Cause 4, like I said, we have The Division 2, we have Rage 2, we have all these different things that could potentially be announced, have potentially been leaked. What is the one third-party game, the one franchise, the one game that you want to see announced at E3? Start thinking on that in your brain, and we'll get to it in a minute. But in perhaps less exciting news, and actually news that's designed to lower expectations a little bit, today, Friday, Sony made an announcement about their E3 conference.
Oh.
They are going to take a break from the format that they normally do, and they're going to, essentially, they all but said, we don't have a lot of first-party announcements to make, so we're just going to do deep dives on the games that we have announced. That being Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us 2, and Death Stranding. So, I mean, out of those games, I'm pretty interested in 3 of them, which is not a bad hit percentage. They said we're gonna have some third party announcements along the way too, but most of the conference will be a showcase, was the phrasing they used. They said not a traditional press conference, a showcase. And this sort of sent the internet a tizzy. There was concerns about the format of it. And so, like, in my mind, the best case is like they just have 10 minutes. They just have a good, interesting demos for the games that are the right length, you know? Like, we don't need to see a lot of Spider-Man. We've seen Spider-Man up to this point, you know? We don't need to be like, look at Peter Parker, be sad, because Aunt May she's got a cough and she's very sick. And it's like, I don't care about that at an E3 conference, you know? So yeah, they want you to feel for Peter Parker, you know? But like Days Gone, like, I have no idea what that game is, so like seeing the gameplay will like be a thing, you know? Like I'll be like, oh, okay. Because all we've seen so far is Norman Reedus has a fetus inside of him that gives a thumbs up.
Yeah, man, that I don't even know what to expect from that. So I guess I'm excited to see what the fuck it's actually gonna be.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same spot. How do you guys feel about Last of Us 2 or Ghost of Tsushima? Do you have any interest in those games?
I have interest in Last of Us 2. Ghost of whatever the hell that is. I didn't even know what the hell that is.
That is Sucker Punch's new game. They announced it Paris Games Week last week. You play as appears to be like a samurai. It's in feudal Japan. The intro, the things they've shown so far is this, what appears to be like a Hun speaking to you, being like, I've studied you, samurai. I've studied you, your people, everything about you. You were never prepared. And then it cuts to your guy who's like he becomes like a ninja and he stabs a guy. So it's appears to maybe be a stealth game in feudal Japan by the Sly Cooper people and the Infamous people. So I like those games, and I like feudal Japan. So hopefully that'll be interesting.
I'm super excited to see more of that, because you know who they are, you know what they've done. Like, Infamous games have been actually largely fun. Like, they've been great open world games, like the first 2.
Yeah.
So hopefully this would work. Maybe this will be an open world game. Did they actually say anything more about it?
I think that they sort of the assumption right now is that it is a open world game from just sort of like the types of games they've made prior. Sort of just the shots that they show, but it could be. I would be shocked if it wasn't. Like, even when they did Sly Cooper back in the day, it was like a pretty big hub area that you would do missions in, even though it was like a more structured platformer. And then Infamous was obviously open world, so you would imagine they would continue down that path. Last of Us 2, obviously, like, Last of Us 1 is one of the most beloved games of last generation, so they're going to be fine. Those are big games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
But I think what this also tells us is, hey, everybody, every other studio that doesn't have a game announced right now is making PS5 games. That's what they're doing.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like that is what's going on.
Yeah, they even said specifically that they're not going to be talking about any new hardware at all. So
They did. Yeah, Sean Layden said, we're not talking about hardware this E3. And he said this E3. And you're like, okay, all right. Well.
Man, it's like, as excited as I always am for new generation of consoles, I feel like this is the first time in a really long time that my wallet is really not ready for this.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I mean, it'll be interesting because we might see the most PS5 might be next year, but I don't know. I don't think Xbox is. Xbox has made no rumblings about it.
Yeah.
And so like, who knows? Maybe we'll get PS5 next year, and then next Xbox the year after.
Also, if PS5 is not backwards compatible, I'm fucking sorry, Sony, but I'm gonna be real mad at you.
I'm gonna be mad too, dude. Like,
I'm sick and tired of this dog shit.
it makes buying a new system. They say people don't use it, but like in my mind, like the fact that there will be PS4 games coming out even as the PS5 is out, like that'll just happen by the nature of how console generations work. It happened with PS3 to PS4. If I can play all the games that are coming out on the new console instead of having to like keep my old system out just whenever some straggler releases, like I'm way more likely to buy that new system. But
right. And I'm just sick and tired of having all these goddamn consoles all over the place. I just want to have like one that can play all of it,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was nice that I when I got my Xbox One after Moose waited 5 months to send it to me. That I could put away my 360. I was like, I don't ever need to get you back out again.
Yeah, well, maybe. Not all the games are backwards compatible, but
sure, but like by and large, right? Like
almost. It's very rare you're gonna need to break it out anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know whose fault it is?
Whose fault is it?
It's Nintendo fans. If they let Nintendo die in the Wii U era, they would have went successfully into third party, and we would have had no exclusives.
I don't get it, Saf.
I don't know what the hell you just said, but I feel like we're all dumber for having listened to it.
May God have mercy on your soul.
Nintendo needs to go third party.
Nintendo was going third party. Did you not see? Well, I mean, actually,
Yes.
I'll take that back. Sushi Striker Way of Sushida will sell 50 million units, so they'll be saved. Thank goodness. But that's sort of the big E3 news right now. It's the big news of the week, by and large. So, boys, I guess because we didn't get to do a lot of predictions for third parties this year, I just want to know what is in your mind that you want, right? What is the thing that you look at and say, now is the moment, now is the time I want to see this video game at E3 from? It could be from Square Enix, Capcom, it could be from Ubisoft, could be from Bethesda, could be from who knows. I'll lead off with mine. This week, there was rumors from people in the know about the Bethesda conference because they announced it, and Bethesda also said this week, I guess I should mention this, that their conference might be the longest one they've ever done, depending on how they cut it. And so you're like, oh, maybe that means they have stuff to show, right? Besides just Rage 2, maybe Doom 2. But a person in the know made the tweeting with a little winky face saying, "You will fall out of your chairs."
New Fallout.
New Fallout, but also like there was rumblings about a potential Obsidian Fallout game, who are the people who made New Vegas. And I don't know if I've said this on this podcast, but I love Fallout New Vegas. It's one of my favorite games of the last generation. It's a real treat. And so the idea of a company that can make a good video game, have it be story based instead of Fallout 4 where they had to ruin the story because of the voice acting, and you get to be an actual do the role playing and the art in a role playing game from Obsidian in the Fallout universe. Baby, that's all I need to have a good E3. Everyone else can shut it down. I'm good forever. And Bethesda could do that. So I'm hoping for that one. Any of you got any answers?
Ratchet and Clank.
Okay, Seth. Nice.
Yeah. I really like the PlayStation 4 version of Ratchet and Clank, where they did a soft reboot of that game, of that series. I would like to see them continue that series and like see them continue to evolve it. Because that reboot was really fun.
Man, that's a game that's like forgotten a whole bunch. You know?
Yeah.
Like, but that game is one really good. Just like like the thing is that like Ratchet games can be ignored these days because it's like, oh, it's just a really well-made platformer. But like, man, ain't nothing wrong with a really well-made platformer, especially one that looks as good as that game does. You know, like that game.
Yeah.
People love to say it, but that game was like a Pixar movie.
Mm-hmm. Damn straight.
Partially because it was a tie-in with the movie.
Oh no, we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
No, I want to see more of that. I want to see more attempts at making 3D platformers, especially on other consoles. I totally would like to take that.
I mean, we're in a good time for it. There's Spyro and there's Crash coming back right now. You know, like
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe we'll see Odyssey DLC. They got data mined that there's potentially content coming for that game, at least costumes. So who knows?
At least new costumes, yeah.
Yep. Brandon, you have anything?
I do, and you know how I love to tie everything together. It's just my favorite thing. Well, this month for the Xbox Games with Gold, there's a free game, and I'm just gonna hope and pray that this game is free this month, the second half of this month, because maybe they're gonna make a sequel for it. Maybe they want people to play the game, and that game is Vanquish.
Yeah.
My God. Would I die if there was a second Vanquish game? Get on it, Platinum Games. You're making sequels to Bayonetta. You're pumping them out, and I love you for it. But if you got the spare people, please also make a sequel to Vanquish, because, my God, that game is underappreciated.
Oh my God, you're totally right.
It's just so fucking fun, and I would love more.
I love sliding halfway across the fucking stage and just kicking people. Kind of.
Yes, the slide mechanic is the fucking best thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you on that one. Fucking Vanquish 2, let's see that happen. Nintendo, bankroll that shit.
Do it.
Or even Sony.
Do it.
Learn from Nintendo, bankroll that shit. Come on.
It's gonna be, it's gonna be free. If you have not played Vanquish, it's gonna be free on Xbox.
It's also cheap on PS4, which is nice too. I mean, on the PS4, on the PC, on Steam. So like, there's no reason to not try that game at this point. It is, I mean, my favorite undercover thing we didn't talk about on this podcast was the dude who was like helping work on the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion. Was like, this game will make all other third-person shooter campaigns look like children, except for Vanquish. Like, that was the one qualifier he had. He's like, I'm extremely confident, but man, we still ain't gonna be Vanquish, because Vanquish was just too good. Which is very funny. So I am very in for Vanquish 2 at E3. Let me throw more cigarettes. That's my favorite thing too, is that there's a throw cigarette button. Let's see. Noah, you got any games that you're hoping for?
Yeah, like, there was a specific announcement Capcom made years ago, and we haven't heard anything since. And that is for the remake of Resident Evil 2.
Oh!
We do it with the famous shirt where they're next to the Resident Evil 2 logo. And his shirt just says,
because Resident Evil 2 is like my favorite Resident Evil game of all time, and I went absolutely ballistic when I heard that announcement, and I've been dying for some news format for a long time now, and I really want to see it soon.
I feel like it's got to be soon, right? Like, when they announced that, I think they had not started, but it's been long enough. You know,
it's been like years now.
It's been years.
No, they started off asking people, do they want this shit?
Yeah, and then they actually announced it. They was like, okay, we'll make it. Everyone was like, yes!
I mean, because the rumor right now with Sony is that DMC5 is ready to show off, right? And that Sony's probably going to get it on their stage, which might be in their announcement they mentioned the third-party games. I imagine that might be one of them. But like, man, the 1-2 punch of like Devil May Cry 5, Dante's back, also here's Resident Evil 2 remake. That'd be the best. That'd be very good.
Oh, it was so good.
So when is Mahado Studios going to make a new game?
I have no idea.
Devil's Fourth.
Devil's Fourth?
I just want to say, though, that last year, one of my dreams finally came true.
What is that?
In the terms of Beyond Good and Evil 2. And I gotta say, I'm just disappointed. And I didn't think I would be disappointed, because I love Beyond Good and Evil 1 so much. But this is just not what I wanted.
Well, it's not.
So
I mean,
hopefully, if we get these things that we're asking for now, they are what we want.
Yeah, it's not the monkey's
And-
paw. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't like this open world multiplayer type kind of whatever shit. I mean, maybe they'll prove me wrong.
Yeah,
But
hopefully
this
it's good.
isn't what
That was
I
a
want.
good trailer though. That trailer still like love
It
it.
was cool, but man, when I heard about what the game actually will be,
Yeah, especially
like-
because like a lot of people were very invested in Jade and in Paige and in all of them from the first game, and so like for it to just be a prequel is
a prequel in a weird online weird thing, it's like the game was a cool single player experience, like Zelda-esque kind of like weird Metal Gear Solid Zelda crossover type of espionage thing going. It's just so good. And,
told a
like,
really unique story too. Like
yeah, good characters, good story. It's just
the idea of like
Right.
being a reporter and like exposing stuff. You're like, oh, that's
yeah, exposing the government and all those things that are going down.
like this is great.
Super fucking cool. And I don't know. We'll wait to see. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully all my suspicions are gonna they'll be like, no, this is actually good. But
Also, where is Wild? Do you remember Wild? It was a
No,
Michelle
I don't-
Ancel game. They showed off at Paris Games Week, or maybe it was Gamescom. I forget. I think it was Gamescom 2 years ago. But it's a thing where you were a shaman. You can control any animal, right?
Oh, that one.
Yeah. So there was like they showed him and like you took control of a bear and just went into like a camp of like a bunch of like crazy cannibals and just like beat them up as a bear. And then you like took control of a rabbit to like stealth around and then like attacked with a swarm of crows. And there was a giant snake lady at the end and because you had to be a snake and you're like, oh my gosh, this game looks nuts. But Beyond Good and Evil 2, I would guess is taking up all of his time. But
Quite possibly.
I miss you,
yeah.
Wild. I want to be able to be a bunch of weird animals in a video game.
Well, don't worry. You have the PS5 to look forward to that game.
Oh, hopefully, fingers crossed. But that was fun. Those were all good choices. Those are all games like I wasn't thinking about, but now that you say them, I'm going to walk into E3 wanting them. And if they don't happen, I'm going to be sad and I'm going to blame you. So I hope you're all ready to answer for that.
I'm okay with this.
Okay, man. Can I also
I've
throw in?
disappointed myself every year when I want Mother 3 localized, so
It's true.
It's gonna happen this year. It's happening this E3.
This is the
Okay.
year.
This is the year. Believe
Mark
it,
it down.
brother. Yeah,
Believe it.
it's happening.
Date bio.
This is a SAF guarantee. Safinty.
okay.
So just a happy picture of Staff. That same picture for when he wasn't dying, when everyone else was dying, where he's giving the thumbs up. Is also the Staff seal of approval.
Yeah, with the Mother 3 logo just right around my arm. Just like, yeah.
This is it.
This is it.
Michael
I
Jackson.
want to throw in, because like this is something that was like everyone's excited for, and I'm totally excited to see as well. Hope to see. Kid Icarus Uprising remake for the Switch. I would totally fucking buy that game.
Remake.
This is a Nintendo thing, but like, yeah, like it will be. I don't know. That game's a weird one. It's funny because Moose is not on this podcast the week we talk about Kid Icarus Uprising because that's his favorite game of all time.
Everything about that game is fun except from the controls. And if they fix that for the Switch version, I'll be so fucking happy with that game.
So yes,
I'll be sitting there with fucking Muzzy singing its praises, going, "Oh, what an amazing game!"
The controls are perfect. Oh, they're not. They're not.
Okay.
If like I'm fine with the controls, but if half your user base is like my hand hurts a lot when you're playing, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect controlling game, you know? Like there are ways to improve it.
When your game comes with a stand, it might be a fucking problem.
Feels like an admission of guilt.
Yeah.
But I love that we took this chance to crap on Muzamil and his opinions because this would normally be the portion where we do the game. But guess who had the game this week?
I guess he values walking more than he actually values talking about games.
Yeah, just who he loves going for a brisk walk.
Yeah.
Hope it was worth it, Muzamil. And also, guess what else? Well, then you say, well, this is the part where we move to the list.
The list.
But guess whose choice it was this week for the list?
God damn it, Muzzy.
Santa Claus?
Close. It was Moose. Moose also had the choice for the list this week, and we realized today. Oh, we have to restructure. So guess who was brave? Guess who was bold? Guess who was courageous enough to do what Muzamil was not brave enough to do? Brandon. What do you want to see on the list?
Stepped up when the team needed me.
Mm-hmm.
Step
Team
up
on his
to
back.
Just deafening.
You know what I want to see in the list?
What's
One.
that?
Kid Icarus Uprising.
If he did that, oh my god, he would leave
Yeah.
the podcast forever.
But it was-
That'd be great, though, right?
He'd walk into a lake and he would never walk back.
Yeah. That would be so good. I wish I've never played Kid Icarus Uprising yet.
Yet.
I just haven't got around to it yet. I don't have it, and it's never going down in price because fucking Nintendo first parties. I swear to God.
Yep.
But anyway,
Anyway.
I would play it too, but I want my hands.
Yeah.
oh that too. So instead, I'm actually gonna pick Limbo.
Oh shit.
Oh.
Limbo, the 2D platformer, puzzle platformer game, developed by I don't even know. who
Playdead,
developed
I
that
believe.
game.
I believe it's Playdead.
Playdead.
Mm-hmm.
So
On
that is a game I'm gonna play. You've played it. You guys have played Limbo.
I
before?
played
Yeah.
Limbo.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a puzzle platformer, isn't it?
Good.
Yeah.
to hear.
It was-
Glad
it
I
was
picked
like-
a game that you guys have played.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So Limbo, it's a like I said, it's a 2D puzzle platformer. It has a nice aesthetic of just like a black and white, and you play as a little kid, and you basically you're going through like this whole nightmare kind of situation. It's weird.
Yeah.
And you're almost like you're facing this kid's fears,
Mm-hmm.
and you just it's a fun game to play. There's a lot of trial and error
Mm-hmm.
in going through the game.
There's puzzle solving.
Spiders
Yes,
killing.
Spiders killing, all sorts of stuff. It's very gruesome, actually.
Yeah.
And
Because
there's
of
a lot of different
yeah.
death animations.
because it is black and white, so there's not as much gore to it. You
Mhm.
like they'll show like here's the spider stabbing this kid through the chest, and you're like, oh my god, this is.
yeah, fucking impales the shit out of the kid.
I remember the first time it happened when I played. I went like, whoa! I verbally was like, I did not expect this kind of violence from an indie game for one, and from this indie game specifically.
Yeah.
I don't remember if there's a beheading or not. I can't remember.
Oh, it definitely
there's-
is.
The kid gets crushed. He falls off cliffs and breaks his little legs and drowns. There's all sorts of different ways this poor kid. I think he gets electrocuted.
But
Kid gets his butt kicked.
the thing that I like
But
about it is that like sometimes you do get comeuppance on the monsters, right? Like
Yes.
that spider you deal with for the first like 2.5 hours of the game, and so when you eventually crush him under a boulder, you're like, yeah, dude, like yes,
yeah.
because there's no way to attack him otherwise. There's no way to defend yourself because you're just a kid.
Right. There's no attacking or anything in this game. It's literally just run, jump, and I
grab.
think you grab. So you push and pull stuff around.
Yeah.
It's like physics-based puzzle platforming kind of situation.
Correct. Yeah.
So you have to build bridges and kind of like make yourself stuff like ledges to climb up in certain situations, and you swing across ropes. It's just the game itself is beautiful to look. You think black and white, you're not going to get a lot out of it, but they use a lot of really cool effects
Mm-hmm.
in the game. One of my favorite parts is when you get to like there's like a city landscape. They use a lot of like neon lights and stuff,
Yeah.
and that just looks beautiful. In the black and white with like the real bright neon.
It also like has an interesting space in like gaming, like on the whole, right? Like maybe it was just me, but like the Xbox Live, it was because the first way I played it, I think the way that a lot of people played it was on Xbox Live Arcade, right?
Yeah.
And like there had been Super Meat Boy and there had been like Braid up to that point, but a game that like I feel like Limbo, well, like it's a 2D platformer, like those two games are. When I played it, I was like, oh, this is a type of game that I haven't played before. Like this is a type of like small scale, still telling a story, unique aesthetic to it type of game that now like has come to define a lot of indie games, but like
Yeah.
at the time was really unique in terms of just what its tone and what it looked like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right, and there's the cool thing about the game too. There's no like clear levels or anything like that, right? You don't like finish a level and then move on to the next one. It's just this like progression where you just go through the story of the game. Like, if you die, there's like automatic save points where it'll bring it back to.
Yeah.
But the whole game is just like one long run
yeah,
Yeah.
that you go through.
No interruptions. Just go through the whole thing.
Especially like,
Yep.
because like you said, like you start off in this forest, and then like when you don't even notice when you get to the city, right? Like you notice because you're like, oh, this looks different, but the transition is smooth enough that that your brain
It's
doesn't
very,
think
very
it's an
cool.
issue.
Yeah, it's very immersive.
In it's almost like each area kind of has its own ending, like set piece, and then you end up like kind of just rolling out or coming into this new area of the game.
Mm-hmm. So, we've spoken very highly of Limbo so far. Where do you want to put it on the list, Brandon?
On the list, I want to put Limbo at number 17.
17. Wow. So a below Stardew Valley, above Until Dawn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why there?
Why there? Limbo's great time, but it is short.
It is very short, yeah.
Mhm.
It's not so, it's got that. It's a great time for like the couple hours it lasts. And some of the puzzle platforming, because it's physics based puzzles kind of sometimes they get frustrating.
Yeah.
So it becomes a little bit of a pain in the ass when you're trying to like build a bridge across water with the blocks, and the platforming isn't perfect. There's going to be a lot of trial and error when you die. It doesn't feel like super tight sometimes.
Yeah.
Like the controls aren't incredible.
Yeah. And I think sometimes they do
So-
overextend themselves a little bit with the types of like spoilers towards the end of the game. There is gravity-based puzzles where you get sucked up and sucked down
Yeah,
and move things
yeah.
around. And
So-
during that part, I felt like they overextended a little bit on what they could do with their engine. Like you could
Yeah.
feel the game sort of strain to like make that work. Like it didn't quite feel good.
So the reason why I asked you this is that I was wondering why you wanted to put it above Until Dawn. Because I was kind of like, I was in the same general area, but I would have put it below Until Dawn at number 18. Simply because
Okay.
like I felt as though like I guess the puzzles in there, well, would you call them puzzles in Until Dawn, were more like engaging, and it's like a more interesting narrative than Limbo. Although it was a different style of game altogether, and
I don't know.
but
I think I would put it above Until Dawn because Until Dawn is a horror game, but it's a horror game that it's scary in the moment but doesn't stick with you, right? Where like there is imagery with like, because Limbo I guess is kind of a horror game, like it's certainly a scary game, and there is some imagery to it that I think I remember a lot more than I guess like the killer with the clown mask, right? Like in Until Dawn.
yeah, I guess it's down to preference then, because like I remember more, a lot of more of it has stuck to me in regards to like Until Dawn. Like I enjoyed like the tropes that they tried to play on in that game and how effective they were, as well as the different relationships that were on display and how you interacted with the people there. Like that was really fun for me,
Yeah.
and I felt as though
I mean, Until Dawn uses. I mean, it really is just trope after trope,
Yeah.
horror movie trope. But I can see where you're coming from. I mean, I do like Until Dawn a lot, but I also do like Limbo a lot too.
No, how do you feel about it?
I was looking to put it below Until Dawn, maybe a little lower, but also another thing to point out about Limbo is like it doesn't have any music to it. Like it's all just like silence, which is
Yeah.
really good for the theme they were going for, but I don't know, it didn't stick with me right. Like after the first half hour, 45 minutes of not hearing anything besides sounds, it's like, I really wish like it had an eerie theme to it. Like just to make it a little bit richer, you know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, I didn't mind it, but I can see where you're coming from. Like, I think that it's neat to just have like the buzz of the flies in the forest, or like the dim sort of like that the sound of like the neon, right? Where you see
Yeah.
it burning and stuff. I think
Yes.
that makes it, that gives each
Right.
area.
Same.
Yeah.
I can see where you're coming from, Noah, but I actually kind of enjoyed the silence. I thought
Yeah.
it was different.
because
It gave
No,
the
it
game,
definitely
like, a little
fit. Like it fit well with it. I would have a little something here and there, not all the time, but
Yeah, I guess it being used like sparingly, it could have made some moments more impactful, but So Noah and Saf are both willing to put it below Until Dawn. Brandon, who do you
I could go. I could agree with them. I mean, I can understand Saf's. I understand what you're saying about Until Dawn. Until Dawn is. I mean, it's longer. I'll give it that.
Sure.
Not a lot longer.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't factor the length in that much. I think that.
Like,
Yeah, but
if you can talk more about the
short
flaws.
games.
Sorry, if you talk more about the flaws of Until Dawn, maybe I can change my mind or something. 'Cause
I think that. I mean, Until Dawn is a very. I don't want to sound mean. Until Dawn is a very neat trick of a game, right? Like I feel like the idea of playing a horror movie in the way that you do, like not like a Resident Evil where like, oh, there's zombies, like a horror thing, but like like your tropes and all, you're playing a horror movie, people that die can die, I think is neat. But I think that the type of game that excuse me, though that is I was gonna mention that Limbo is I think is more evergreen. I think that it's a thing where I think Until Dawn could very easily like be surpassed, right? Where for me, like Inside, I like a lot, but like I still think I like Limbo more.
Yeah, Inside. I like Limbo more than Inside. Inside's fucking weird, man.
Yeah.
Especially at the end.
It gets wild out,
For
right?
those who don't know what Inside is, it's a sequel to Limbo.
It's the follow-up to Limbo, you're right.
Yeah. Inside's fucking so weird at the end of that game.
And so like for me, like I think Limbo does what the sort of unique space it's in, like it hasn't been surpassed. Where with Until Dawn, like I mean, I played it at one time and that was fun, but I wouldn't feel the need to go back to it. Where like now I kind of want to go back to Limbo after talking about this,
Yeah, I could definitely give Limbo extra points for being like extremely unique and offering a unique experience.
And you do have a point, because like it was free on PSN and I downloaded it on the idea like, oh, I'm totally gonna play this again, but guess who never played it again?
Sure.
Yeah, so
that's every PSN game. That's a PS Plus classic.
Mm-hmm.
I can settle to put it above Until Dawn if no one's willing to Weaver.
I'm willing to go.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm willing to put it above.
I'm on the edge, but I'm more. I'd rather put it above Until Dawn, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right. So is everyone's cool with that? That's a 3-1, putting it at number 17 on the list. Above, like I said, Until Dawn, but below Stardew Valley, which is, of course, if you want to see the whole list, there's the paste bin in the description. That is updated weekly. We're up to 20. We're 27 games. We're gonna hit 30 before E3. How exciting!
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, baby. But that is, in general, the podcast for this week. I want to thank you all for watching. By watching, I mean listening, because this is not a video. You know what, Brandon? Why don't you talk to people about the other things that we do under this banner of the Jump Up Supercast?
What else do we do?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, we do a lot, man. The Jump Up Supercast is all over the place.
All around the world.
Yes. Fuck that. Anyway, so yeah, we're all over the place. Check us out on all the social media platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, not Snapchat, maybe one day, who knows. But yeah, if you want to keep up with updates when the episodes come out, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube or on any of your iTunes or your Soundclouds or anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Make sure you give us a follow. Make sure you share us, like us, 5-star us on iTunes. That's super important. It helps us get noticed. And another thing we do is we have a Twitch channel where we stream at minimum 3 days a week, but mostly 4, sometimes 5. It's crazy. We're playing video games all the time. I recently lost my fucking mind on Wednesday night when I was playing Blinks. So I think that's still archived. If you want to watch
In for a treat on that one.
I lost it, man. That game's something else. And speaking of Blinks, the Time Patrol or Time Sweeper or Time Cat or piece of shit, whatever that game is called, we're playing that for the Game Club. The Game Club is the other show we do. Every 2 weeks we play a game, we talk about it. It's like a book club, but better because video games, they're the best thing in the universe.
Naturally.
So
unlike walking.
we all get together, we play the same game, and we're playing Blinks.
Oh baby, last one we did was the Shadow of Memories.
Shadow of Memories, which is on the list.
Real interesting game. Was it?
Yeah, that episode should be up now.
Yeah.
But at least by the time this episode's up, it'll definitely be up.
Certainly.
But yeah, so check us out. Make sure you follow us on Twitch, though. We're playing video games on there, and we love interacting with you guys. It's super fun. So follow us.
All right, thank you, Brandon. And that is the podcast for the week. Normally, we would have here the final phrase for whoever won the game. Moozamil is not here, so I asked beforehand for Moozamil to give his final phrase once again. And he said, and I quote, "Screw video games. I'm walking. You're not going to stop me. I'm walking until the end of time." Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.